and streaming live in HD worldwide at foxbangor.com. More people choose Good Morning Maine.
Hello, everyone. Today on Good Morning Maine, witnesses are saying they heard an explosion in Bangor as a residential building caught fire.
Plus, you can now request an absentee ballot for the 2024 election.
And we'll have an exclusive interview with Mike Johnson as he sets up a battle station here in Maine to try to get Republicans elected up and down the ballot.
Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Maine. I'm Emma Smith.
And I'm Craig Colson. Thank you for joining us. We'll have all the day's news coming up in just a few moments. But first, a check of the forecast. And it's not wonderful news in that department today. It's raining outside pretty steadily at times. And that's what we can expect throughout the day today. And maybe some thunderstorms later on as the remnants of, tropical storm Debbie now working its way up through Maine.
Here's here's Devin Biggs with the latest.
All righty, thank you very much. Happy Friday. We're waking up to a little bit of areas of dense fog this morning across the western parts of the state and in some other spots as well. Of course, as we get the daytime rolling, we'll lose the fog, and of course, the concern will be some rain that will be developing today on top of some rumbles of thunder. There is also a small crowd advisory that is now posted until 8 a.m. Sunday for this small area here. We might see this expanded a little bit more as, of course, we watch for Debbie that will be moving in rather soon. And we're already seeing the rain moving in as a result of Debbie here, tracking from the southwest to the north and east. Not much of any lightning with this just yet, but we will be watching for more lightning that will be on the way coming up later on today as we get more of that peak daytime heating. But here's the leftovers of Debbie right here. Pretty much a tropical depression, if not a remnant low at this point as it tracks off towards the north, sending in a lot of moisture, some showers and storms, and we'll keep this going throughout the daytime period today. But we will also get some breaks from time to time. Here's Futurecast. We'll get some breaks going throughout the afternoon period, but more opportunities for showers and storms arrive overnight tonight in the parts of early Saturday morning with locally heavy downpours possible too. Now here's the wind, roughly at around 5 to 10 miles per hour to start today, but tonight and also in the parts of tomorrow, the winds really become gusty, so make sure you're ready for that. Your forecast for today, some scattered showers and thunderstorms possible with highs in the low 70s and that southeast wind at around 5 to 10 miles per hour. The hourly forecast for the rest of the morning and afternoon period, watching out for showers and thunderstorms with temperatures in the 60s and 70s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up.
Thank you, Devin. A structure fire occurred last night in Bangor after witnesses report they heard what sounded like an explosion. Holden, Brewer, Bangor, and Orono fire departments responded to a residential building at 59 Kenduskeag Avenue at about 9:10 last night. Witnesses at the scene say that a loud noise, which sounded like an explosion, was heard around the time the fire broke out. According to social media posts, everyone made it out safely, and firefighters also managed to rescue 2 cats. Officials have not yet confirmed any details, and we will provide more information as it becomes available.
Well, the director of Lamson's Funeral Homes made his first court appearance Thursday after being accused of stealing from his clients. Harold Chip Lamson is charged with 4 counts of theft. He's accused of stealing money from funeral trust funds through his businesses in Lincoln and Millinocket. During a Maine Board of Funeral Services hearing in May, Lamson admitted to the allegations that included more than 60 violations and also agreed to surrender his license. Lamson is due back in court on November 6th.
The Old Town Police Department has canceled a silver alert for a missing man. That after the man was safely located. 87-year-old Wayne Dion was last seen at his home on 7th Street on Wednesday morning. He left to go to an appointment in Augusta, but never made it there and hadn't returned home. According to the Department of Public Safety, he has since been found, although there are no details on where he was located.
The Kennebunk Fire Department has recovered a vehicle that took a dip in the Moosom River. Take a look at these pictures. Fire crews say the SUV rolled into the river on Wednesday. Fortunately, no one was in the vehicle and no one was hurt. The current swept the vehicle several hundred feet downriver before it was eventually recovered. Emergency crews called in a diver and a wrecker to help pull that vehicle from the water.
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reporting 9 more people have come down with listeria since the outbreak from deli meats began. That brings the total number of infections to 43 people. 3 have died from the illness. This is nationwide. The New York State Food Laboratory identified listeria bacteria inside some Boar's Head products. As a result, Boar's Head recalled all of its deli products on July 30th. The CDC urging customers to not eat recalled deli products and to clean any surfaces inside and outside the fridge that may have been in contact with any recalled cold cuts. Listeria can cause fever, confusion, and fatigue, and poses a higher risk of illness for pregnant women. The CDC urges people to call their state health department for any additional information about listeria where they live.
Well, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development's Assistant Secretary visited the University of Maine's Advanced Structures and Composites Center yesterday. This comes as the university strives to be a national model for manufacturing affordable housing with their 3D printed home. Our Grace Blanchard has more.
The University of Maine's Advanced Structures and Composites Center is continuing to attract notice from the federal government over their efforts to produce manufactured homes. The center received a visit from the Assistant Secretary for the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, Dr. Kimberly McLean.
So it's just really a great opportunity to see all the work that Maine is doing to really address some of the housing shortages.
The university unveiled the world's first bio-based 3D printed home back in 2022. Now they are looking to expand that with their latest pilot program that aims to build 9 single-family homes for low-income families in the Bangor area.
We're very excited. It's taking us into new territory because, of course, as a university, we're very focused on the development and some of the more basic technology work. And this project will test out how well and how quickly we're able to bring these to scale.
Dr. McLean says the department is looking for innovative opportunities to lower housing costs. She says manufactured housing is a central component of the Biden-Harris administration's strategy to increase housing supply.
This technology really allows us to innovate, figure out what works well, how do we build it to scale, and how do we build it faster so that we can get housing on the streets for those who really need it.
The university hopes to see this become a national model for manufacturing affordable housing.
We look to see a future where projects like this 3D printing effort that we're doing here at UMaine and this kind of 3D printed home that is so attractive and so beautiful in terms of imagining a future for it. We do see ourselves as a model for leadership in that area.
In Orono, Grace Blanchard, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
The election may still be a few months away, but starting yesterday, you can request your absentee ballot. Maine Secretary of State and top election official Shenna Bellows says the process to request a ballot is as simple as visiting a website.
We have an online absentee ballot request system, and it links back to the clerks so that your municipal clerk will see that request and be able to fulfill it when ballots will be available. Now, keep in mind, voting does not start until 45 days prior to Election Day. Our military and our overseas voters can start to vote. And then 30 days prior to Election Day, every Maine citizen can, in fact, start voting absentee.
Secretary Bellows adds that even though you're requesting a ballot now, they won't be sent out by the clerks until 30 days before the November 5th election.
Maine businesses will see the first round of funding to help them recover from last winter's storms. Governor Janet Mills announced yesterday that her administration has awarded $5.8 million in business recovery and resilience grants to more than 100 businesses and nonprofit organizations. The legislature approved the funding as part of the supplemental budget back in May. Washington County-based Woodland Pulp is one of the recipients. Spokesperson Marty Richards says, quote, "The funding is critical for us because we were ineligible for other types of storm-related relief. These funds will allow us to address repair needs and better prepare to withstand weather damage to minimize the impact to our business." Last month, the governor announced 68 working waterfronts were being awarded more than $21 million to support their recovery and rebuilding efforts.
All right, the time now is 6:09. Coming up next on Good Morning Maine, our own Corey Bouchard had an exclusive interview with Speaker of the House Mike Johnson as Republicans set up their battle station to prepare for the upcoming election.
But first, let's take a look at that weather forecast. It's a soggy one. Scattered thunderstorms can be expected today with highs near 70 degrees. Tonight, those storms will continue with lows dropping down to the upper 60s. Tomorrow, scattered thunderstorms at least in the morning before it starts moving out of the area. Highs around 84 degrees. We'll be right back.
When outdoors, some people like it hot and some people like it cold. However, when indoors, most people like it comfortably warm. Choose a Boderas boiler from McCusick Petroleum Company to provide you with comfortable and efficient heat. They also offer sales and service on many brands of furnaces, boilers, and water heaters. McCusick Petroleum Company delivers oil and LP gas to homes and businesses throughout the Pequot region. If you'd like more information on pricing or service, call or stop by our office in Dover Foxcroft.
When R&K Variety in Hamden wants to know the local forecast, they log on to foxbangor.com. R&K Variety is more than just a convenience store, offering fresh cooked meals that don't break the bank, gasoline for your mean machines, or beer and wine so your night is fine. Stop by today.
Welcome to the Purple Baboon, a local gem on the Belfast waterfront. Find lots of little joys for every taste, like fun clothing for the whole family and a lovely selection of coastal Maine-made jewelry. The Purple Baboon, the best selection at great prices, 31 Front Street, Belfast.
It's Judge Judy's greatest hits with classics like
That's ridiculous. That's a lot of baloney.
Judge Judy
on ABC7.
All summer, you're invited to the People's Court Block Party gone wild.
She kicked in my door twice.
You're out of your mind.
Real cases, real litigants, real neighborhood drama.
You don't walk around in your underwear in the yard, do you?
Why not?
The People's Court.
All this week at 4 on ABC7.
Welcome back, everyone. A measure has been introduced to protect sled dog racing here in Maine, in northern Maine, in fact. Congressman Jared Golden and Congresswoman Claudia Tenney of New York introduced a bipartisan resolution to reverse the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention's new dog importation rule. It would require the CDC to rewrite its proposed rule to be more practical for mushers and race organizers. The new CDC rule tightens requirements on dogs crossing the border into the U.S. Golden and Tenney say it jeopardizes the Can-Am International Sled Dog races held in Fort Kent. Previously, dogs were only required to have up-to-date and documented rabies vaccinations. The new rule adds age restrictions, microchipping, and additional paperwork that is estimated to cost between $150 to $200 per dog. There are 14 dogs on a full dog sled team.
In July of last year, the town of Bar Harbor increased its parking fees and installed more parking kiosks throughout downtown, yielding millions of dollars in parking revenue. Our Doug Banks explains.
Tourism season in Bar Harbor is in full swing.
From what we heard, May and June were a little bit slower of a start, but July seems to kind of have brought it back.
In July of last year, the town of Bar Harbor increased its parking fees in certain areas by $2 and $4, as well as installing more parking kiosks throughout downtown. According to the town's 2025 fiscal year budget, that yielded more than $3 million in parking revenue. One town official tells us the bulk of the additional monies is appropriated for capital expenditures, such as roads and sidewalks. Additionally, $216,000 of the parking revenue will help fund the Island Explorer transportation system. Eaton says the variation in pricing across parking zones is intended to encourage visitors to park in different areas when they travel to a different part of town.
It is one of the bigger questions that we do get at the chamber here is questions about parking, but once people kind of get in town and figure out the kiosk system that was put in place this year, the Park Mobile app, some of the other things, it seems to be working well for the town.
Eric Anderson of Frederick, Maryland, says it took him 15 minutes to find a parking spot.
It was a little challenging, but tis the season, you know, everybody's here visiting. You want to have enough room for everybody to park, but you want to maintain the quality and the character of the town, so you have to kind of find a balance.
In Bar Harbor, Doug Banks, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
On Wednesday, Republicans opened what they are calling their battle station to help centralize volunteers across Maine's 2nd Congressional District and get Republicans elected up and down the ballot. Joining them at the grand opening was U.S. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson. Our Augusta reporter Corey Bouchard spoke exclusively with Speaker Johnson about the upcoming election and what he sees as key issues leading up to November.
Speaker Johnson, thank you so much for taking time to speak with me today. I really appreciate it.
Glad to be with you.
U.S. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson visited Maine to celebrate the grand opening of the National Republican Congressional Committee's battle station for Maine's 2nd Congressional District. Speaker Johnson spoke exclusively with ABC7 and Fox 22. He says all eyes across the country are focused on this race.
We believe we can flip this seat back to Republican hands. We're so excited that Austin Terrio has stepped up to run. He's got an extraordinary resume. He's a young, thoughtful leader, and I think he's really caught fire here among the base. We really do believe this is one of our key pickup opportunities in the whole country.
According to Speaker Johnson, the 2024 election could be one for the history books, with control of the White House, Senate, and House all up for grabs. There's a possibility that Republicans could gain control of all three and be able to implement their legislative priorities.
And if all three of those things happen, we'll have unified government, which means we'll have a true opportunity to fix it all. We'll begin with the top priorities of the American people. We'll seal the border on day one. We'll get the economy going again and flourishing. We'll get our stature on the world stage restored so that we're not projecting weakness and inviting our adversaries to be so aggressive.
Speaker Johnson also spoke on what he sees as the federal government's role in preventing mass shootings, like we saw last October in Lewiston.
Mental health is a big problem across the country, and we've seen rising rates of not only violence but suicide as well, and it must be something that is adequately addressed. Look, the evil comes from the human heart, not from the weapon that's used. In European nations where they banned weapons, people still are killed by evil persons. They use other means. So I think it's something that the government at all levels, federal, state, and local, has to address. The mental health component of that is a really important thing.
To watch the full interview with Speaker Johnson, you can visit our website, foxbangor.com. In Auburn, I'm Cora Bouchard for ABC7 and Fox 22 News.
Yeah, very lucky of Corey to get an interview with him. He wasn't really offering that to a lot of reporters.
Yeah.
All right, the time now is 6:16. After the break, after finding a 20-foot long shark washed up on the beach, scientists are working to learn more about what led to its death.
We'll have the story coming up, along with all the day's news on Good Morning Maine.
Commercial vehicles can be dangerous, and they usually carry big insurance policies. So whether you're hurt by a landscaping truck like this, a work van like this, or a big rig like this, we know commercial vehicle accidents, and we know how to get you the big money you may deserve. If any commercial vehicle hurts you, call the twos. We win for you.
Hurt by a commercial vehicle? Call the twos. We win for you. Call 222-2222.
Hotels and welfare for illegal immigrants on our dime. Washington liberal policies opened our border and ended Remain in Mexico. And Congressman Jared Golden stood by, blocking common sense solutions. Worse, Golden voted to give amnesty to millions, yet opposed more Border Patrol resources. Now our communities are flooded with illegal immigrants, and Mainers are paying the price. Tell Congressman Golden, illegal immigration is costing our communities too much. Reinstate Remain in Mexico.
New car, new house, new motorcycle. Come on down, Howard Insurance.
Howard Insurance Agency has the privilege of 150 years in the business and represents several companies for your insurance. With local offices in Dover, Foxcroft, Dexter, and Newport, we are happy to help with your home, auto, commercial insurance, and more. Call us today for a free quote and see how much we can save you, or go to our website.
We're learning new details about a shark washed ashore in Blue Hill yesterday. The 20-foot-long shark was discovered on the shore near a residence Wednesday morning, not yesterday. A College of the Atlantic representative confirms it is a basking shark. Some nearby residents say they saw the animal thrashing in the water the day before it died, and town officials say the shark's death comes as a shock.
A resident called in and said that they found a shark washed up on their shore. We've seen it happen in other parts of the state, and this is a first for us. So I think people are probably still figuring out how they feel about it.
According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, basking sharks primarily feed on plankton. Experts were on scene yesterday morning to begin the process of performing a necropsy. At this time, it's not yet known how the shark became beached or if it's the same one spotted earlier this week in the waters off of Swans Island. According to a representative from the New England Aquarium, samples will be sent to NOAA to determine the cause of death.
Oh, it's sad to see whenever you see something like that along the coast there.
I know.
Yeah, something might have been wrong with the animal, though. They normally don't swim in that shallow water, and if it was the same one in Swans Island, it nearly got beached there, too, earlier this week until some people kind of chased it out with a boat. But
Yeah, maybe disoriented or something.
Yeah, looking forward to those answers.
Yeah. All right, the time now is 6:19.
Let's get a full look at that stormy forecast.
All right, thank you very much. Happy Friday. Here's what we got here. Some reductions in visibility, some areas of dense fog greeting us this morning. That's not the main concern. We are watching for rain that is also moving in. Before we get there, we also have a small crowd advisory that is posted until 8 a.m. Sunday along the coast because of active surf that will be expected as Debbie starts to move in our direction. And of course, we'll be watching for some gusty winds too, and that advisory may also get expanded. Here's the latest radar. We are watching showers that are moving in this morning. Not much lightning, if any lightning just yet, but we will have more of that developing from the southwest to the north and east today as we get more of that peak daytime heating going. Here's the bigger picture here. Here's what's left of Debbie right here, kind of tracking from the south going toward the north with showers and thunderstorms developing for a good part of the northeastern U.S. And we'll keep this going on and off throughout the daytime period today. We will get some dry hours from time to time too. And of course, the bigger picture, the rest of the country though, still some scattered showers and storms in some spots, but for the most part, the big story right now is Debbie that is currently moving along the east coast. So futurecast moving forward, we have showers and storms moving through today, some breaks during the afternoon period. More opportunities for showers and storms moving later on tonight and parts of tomorrow morning. Locally heavy downpours cannot be ruled out even through parts of Saturday morning. We'll start to clear things up for the afternoon Saturday, but still a storm or two cannot be ruled out for the afternoon hours as well. But once we get towards parts of Saturday night, that's when things really begin to calm down. And Sunday looking a lot better. But meanwhile, as for the rainfall for today, at least maybe up to a ½ inch to 3/4 of an inch of rain, depending on where you're at before we're all finished up for today. But really, though, as we head towards parts of Saturday, here's what we're watching out for: a little bit more rain on the way. So before this all wraps up, another 3/4 of an inch to maybe over an inch of rainfall possible before we're all finished up. Now, gusty winds will also be on the way for us today. Not so much today, but tonight for sure. Maybe a quick gust up to 10 to 15 miles per hour today. Tonight, gusts up to 30 miles per hour are possible, and getting close to 40-mile-per-hour gusts as we head towards Saturday, so make sure you're ready for that. Your forecast coming up for today, it will also be a little bit humid at times with highs in the low 70s, scattered showers and thunderstorms with a southeast wind getting up to around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, more showers and thunderstorms, still a little humid out there with lows in the upper 60s and a south wind gusting up to around 30 miles per hour at times. Humid again for tomorrow, some scattered showers and thunderstorms, highs in the mid 80s and that south wind getting up to around 30 miles per hour at times. Let's check out your extended forecast. We have showers and thunderstorms today, tonight, and also in the parts of tomorrow. But notice what happens Sunday. We calm down. We'll be partly cloudy with highs in the upper 70s. More showers and thunderstorms possible Monday, otherwise partly cloudy with highs in the mid 70s, and lower 80s for your Tuesday under a partly cloudy sky.
Roto-Rooter has served the greater Bangor area and beyond for 35 years, offering plumbing, hydrojetting, snaking, descaling, video inspection, and grease interceptor cleaning services. For all your residential and commercial clogs, call Roto-Rooter today, 990-1234.
And away go troubles down the drain. Roto-Rooter.
Motorcycle accidents can happen fast. The effect on your life can be devastating.
I wasn't going to take a chance on my future.
I needed a lawyer who fights for bikers' rights.
Motorcycle law is complicated, and you'll need somebody who knows motorcycle law. A name the insurance companies know all too well.
A lawyer with the power to get you more. They got me way more than I thought I'd get.
Call Joe. The law offices of Joe Bornstein. Right now.
Tell them you mean business.
Embrace the journey, where each moment turns into a cherished memory. Ensuring life's journey and experiences along the way. AAA, we're always with you.
When Rowell's Garage in Dover Foxcroft wants to know the local forecast, they log on to foxbangor.com. Rowell's Garage has been serving customers in the greater Dover Foxcroft region since 1946. Our goal is not just selling you a vehicle, but also giving you quality service to maintain your vehicle at peak performance.
Hey, good
Good morning, America. Good morning, America.
Good morning, America.
You don't just see it, you feel it.
I'm in. I'm in. I'm in.
I'm in too.
I am in.
I'm in.
I'm in too.
I'll be here.
You're watching ABC 7 Bangor.
Welcome back, everyone. Newly released body cam video sheds more light on the response to the attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump. Some can be heard criticizing the preparation for the event. Fox News correspondent Connor Hansen has more.
New body cam video shows police rushing to find the man who fired shots that grazed former President Trump, killed one man and injured two others. It shows the moment a local police officer is boosted up to the roof and quickly retreats after seeing the shooter.
This close, bro. Dude, he turned around on me. He's straight up.
Several chaotic minutes play out before police reach the roof and find the dead body of 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks next to his rifle after he was shot by a counter sniper. In the aftermath, police can be heard complaining that no one was guarding the roof with a clear view of the stage.
I told them they need to post the guys over here. I told them that the Secret Service. I told them that Tuesday. I told them to post guys over here.
That complaint appears to contradict what the interim Secret Service director told lawmakers on Capitol Hill last week, that the roof was left to local police to secure.
We didn't challenge our own assumptions of, we assume that someone's going to cover that. We assume that there's going to be uniformed presence.
The former president addressed his injury at a press conference after nearly losing his life last month.
I'm a fast healer. It's a hell of a shot, but I'm a fast healer. Yeah, pretty much recovered.
And we're expecting to see even more congressional hearings as investigations continue into how that shooting was allowed to happen. In New York, Connor Hansen, Fox News.
Donald Trump and Kamala Harris have reportedly agreed to debate each other on September 10th. The former president proposed 2 more debates while speaking to reporters on Thursday afternoon. The Trump campaign is also blasting the vice president, saying she's avoiding the media. Fox News correspondent Caroline Shively reports.
Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump held public events Thursday afternoon. Harris held a campaign rally for members of the United Auto Workers in Michigan.
That's what our campaign is about. We love our country. We believe in our country. We believe in each other. We believe in the collective.
While Trump spoke to reporters at his private club in Florida.
We have somebody that hasn't received 1 vote for president, and she's running, and that's fine with me. But we were given Joe Biden, and now we're given somebody else.
Trump pointed out that Harris has yet to face the media since President Biden dropped out and left her as the Democratic nominee.
I think that the press should be demanding interviews now that the Veep drama is over. Where does she stand on the expiring Trump tax cuts next year? Where does he stand on China and Taiwan? We don't know.
President Biden was trailing Trump nationally and in most swing state polls, but the race seems to be tightening in some states now that Harris is the nominee. On Thursday, the Cook Political Report moved the swing states of Arizona, Nevada, and Georgia from leans Republican to toss-up.
This is going to be a very close election, make no mistake about it.
The Real Clear Politics average of polls shows Trump and Harris separated by only half a percentage point. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
Well, Austrian authorities release a picture of one of the suspects of an alleged terrorist attack plot on Taylor Swift's concerts. Police arresting 2 people on Wednesday on suspicion that they were planning attacks on the concerts, part of Swift's Eras tour in Vienna. The photo released was taken by the suspect himself for social media. Police say the suspects seem to be influenced by the Islamic State, with one of them uploading an oath of allegiance to that militia group. Documents linked to the terrorist organization and al-Qaeda were found at one of their homes. Along with bomb-making material, both suspects were allegedly planning on killing as many people outside the concert stadium using knives or self-made bombs. Concert organizers say they're confident with their decision of canceling in precaution of keeping the almost 100,000 people expected in the stadium out of harm's way.
Now to North Carolina and the case of Joshua Hunsucker. He was first arrested for allegedly poisoning his wife with eye drops and trying to cash in on her life insurance. Now prosecutors claim he tried to do the same thing to his young daughter. Prosecutors claim his plot was inspired by South Carolina nurse Lena Clayton. Back in 2018, Clayton was charged with poisoning her husband with eye drops. She pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 25 years in prison. Just a month after Clayton was charged, Stacy Hunsucker died. Investigators say they grew suspicious when Joshua Hunsucker immediately cremated his wife's body and filed for her $250,000 life insurance policy. When they tested her blood, they say poison was found. And he's accused of intimidating his late wife's parents in an effort to blame them for her death. Yesterday, prosecutors are asking to revoke Hunsucker's bond as he awaits trial. And coming up on the second half of the newscast, our Devin Dagnall tells us about a great spot if you're looking for one last summer trip in this week's Destination Devin.
And the oldest agricultural fair in the state has hit the ground running with a 206th season now underway. We'll head to the Skowhegan State Fair as Good Morning Maine continues.
Maine Paving is Eastern and Central Maine's go-to for all things paving. Maine Paving specializes in commercial or residential paving, grading, seal coating, and crack filling. And get this, refer someone that schedules a job and receive a $250 Visa gift card. Currently booking for this year.
Angler's Restaurant with 2 locations in Newport and Searsport. Open daily from 11 to 8. We are your home for fresh seafood. Our specialty is scallops, lobster, fish and chips, and of course, lobster rolls. Now, if seafood is not your preference, we offer fan favorites like cheeseburgers and chicken tenders. Stop by for the atmosphere and stay for the incredible dining experience. Anglers, Maine's family seafood restaurant.
The best part of working with people is giving back some things that they've lost.
It's very rewarding when you see people that say, I can't do this or I won't do this, to doing it and enjoying it.
You're going to help them have the best life they possibly can, and you're truly going to make a difference.
I like helping people. I like being able to help someone stay in their home. I can't imagine doing anything else.
Your favorite restaurants were half off. It's half off dining from Fox 22 and ABC 7. Go to foxbangor.com, click on half off dining, and start saving now.
Mossy Ledge Spirits is a true hidden gem in Etna. Located just 3 miles off I-95, exit 167, we are home to tastings, tours, cocktails, to-go drinks, bottles, live music, and priceless memories. So enjoy some pizza and raise the glass here at Mossy Ledge Spirits.
Great restaurants from all over Eastern Maine at half off dining from Fox 22 and ABC 7.
Maine Paving is Eastern and Central Maine's go-to for all things paving. Maine Paving specializes in commercial or residential paving, grading, seal coating, and crack filling. And get this, refer someone that schedules a job and receive a $250 Visa gift card. Currently booking for this year.
You're watching ABC 7 Bangor.
August 9th, 2024, and it is also National Book Lovers Day.
Great day for it, too.
Sure is.
You really don't want to leave the house today.
No.
Books are the purest form of escapism. They can take you to any time, place, or culture. This is a day to put away those smartphones, maybe curl up on the couch and pull out a good book. It's a good way to learn about the world around us or simply transport ourselves to a different place, if only for a little while. And it helps expand your vocabulary. It's good for your brain. And I just think it's overall a good alternative to sitting here on our phones. I definitely spend way too much time on my phone these days.
I do too. You know, you sit there and you're going to look at one thing, next thing you know, 2 hours has gone by and you've been scrolling around. So I love a good book. I go through streaks where I won't read any for like a few months, and then all of a sudden I'll just read every day, and it's great.
Yep,
So.
I like to keep one in my purse. It's good. Yep. It's a good idea.
All right, time for history. On this day in history, back in 1173, construction began on a bell tower in Italy that became internationally famous as the Leaning Tower of Pisa. still leaning to this day. In 1793, the Louvre opened up in Paris and later became the most visited museum in the world. In 1831, the first steam locomotive began its first trip between Schenectady, New York and Albany, New York. And in 1846, the Smithsonian Institution was founded in Washington, D.C. by the U.S. Congress. It began all thanks to funding from English scientist James Smithson.
Wow, a few different places there that are on my worldwide bucket list.
Great.
Cool. In 1944, the U.S. Forest Service and Wartime Advertising Council created Smokey the Bear to raise awareness about the dangers of forest fires. In 1945, an atomic bomb was dropped on the Japanese city of Nagasaki. Japan surrendered to the Allies a few days later, effectively bringing an end to World War II. In 1969, actress Sharon Tate and 4 others were murdered by followers of Charles Manson, the leader of a communal religious cult. And in 1974, Gerald Ford was sworn in as president following the resignation of Richard Nixon. In 1977, American serial killer David Berkowitz was arrested for murdering 6 people in New York City and plunging the city into panic. The so-called Son of Sam killer confessed and was sentenced to prison. And I think Summer of Sam, that's the movie after it?
Yeah, I think so.
Great movie. Love that film.
Scary time.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, by the way. I got all the little happy, today this started,
No,
and
I
you get
was
all
going
the
to
murder.
comment.
And,
There was a lot of stuff on this day.
yeah, there was even more, too. I left it out, but I think that's enough for today.
That's enough.
Yeah, all right. For birthdays today, we have all actors and actresses. Today's birthdays include actress and Portland, Maine native Anna Kendrick, who is 39 years old today. Actor Sam Elliott is 80. I just love his stuff.
He's cool. Cool mustache, too.
Right?
That's like the most iconic
He knows how to
mustache,
wear
yeah.
a mustache.
Yeah.
And actor Dan Levy is it Levy? Levy.
Probably.
Yeah, from Eugene Levy. That's his dad.
Right.
Well, he is 41 years old today. I loved him in Schitt's Creek.
He was funny.
So funny.
Yeah,
So.
those were good shows. All right, moving right along now. It's pouring. It started quite early this morning.
Yeah.
It's supposed to go all day. It's a good day if you're a book lover.
Yeah, just hang around and read a book or something like that. The remnants of Tropical Storm Debbie really moving through the area tonight, so it's supposed to pick up. If you picked this week to go camping in Maine, sorry about that.
Yeah.
But you can stay in your tent and maybe go find a good book or something.
Or reevaluate.
That would be kind of nice,
I don't
though.
know. I would not.
You wouldn't like that?
I would be making other plans.
Yeah, I'd love to sit in a tent and just read my book and eat some cookies and whatever.
You get flooding underneath. It's gonna.
There's things you could do about that too.
Eat some cookies.
Eat some cookies.
You can eat some cookies at home.
Yeah,
Okay.
you could. You could.
Here's Devin Biggs with that forecast.
Now I want a cookie.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Alrighty, thank you very much. Happy Friday. We're waking up to a little bit of areas of dense fog this morning across the western parts of the state and in some other spots as well. Of course, as we get the daytime rolling, we'll lose the fog, and of course the concern will be some rain that will be developing today on top of some rumbles of thunder. There is also a small crowd advisory that is now posted until 8 a.m. Sunday for this small area here. We might see this expanded a little bit more as, of course, we watch for Debbie that will be moving in rather soon. And we're already seeing the rain moving in as a result of Debbie here, tracking from the southwest to the north and east. Not much of any lightning with this just yet, but we will be watching for more lightning that will be on the way coming up later on today as you get more of that peak daytime heating. Here's the leftovers of Debbie right here. Pretty much a tropical depression, if not a remnant low at this point as it tracks off towards the north, sending in a lot of moisture, some showers and storms, and we'll keep this going throughout the daytime period today, but we will also get some breaks from time to time. Here's Futurecast. We'll get some breaks going throughout the afternoon period, but more opportunities for showers and storms arrive overnight tonight in the parts of early Saturday morning with locally heavy downpours possible too. Now here's the wind, roughly at around 5 to 10 miles per hour to start today, but tonight and also in the parts of tomorrow, the winds really become gusty, so make sure you're ready for that. Your forecast for today, some scattered showers and thunderstorms possible with highs in the low 70s and that southeast wind at around 5 to 10 miles per hour. The hourly forecast for the rest of the morning and afternoon period, watching out for showers and thunderstorms with temperatures in the 60s and 70s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up.
Thank you, Devin. Now it's time to turn it over to Devin Dagnalt for this week's installment of Destination Devin.
Good morning, Devin.
Good morning, Emma and Craig. It might not be the day for it today, but if you're looking to get one last trip in before the end of summer, there's a lovely little spot on the shore of Green Lake that Mainers have been staying at since the 1940s. I'll tell you all about it in this week's Destination Devin.
it feels like home.
Jenkins Beach is a hidden gem of Maine. Just off Route 1 in Dedham, it's been a destination for people near and far for generations.
And so we have a lot of folks who have made this part of their summer tradition.
Always staying within the Jenkins family, the ownership of the beach has changed a few times and now lies in the hands of Julie Jenkins, who has been working with her husband to renovate and update the beach and its cabins for about 2 years. Julie now proudly states the cabins are 3-season cabins, ready for campers to stay all year, excluding the winter months. Despite the changes that came over the years, patrons still gladly return year after year, and new and old generations of Jenkins alike seem to agree why.
Another reason people keep coming back is memories. People could remember from their childhood coming here, having the greatest time ever, and then future realize that and hope that their kids can have that same experience.
I think that is actually a lot of what brings people back.
Even though the beach itself won't be open to the public, besides reservations, until next year, Julie hopes it will again be a gathering place for communities near and far to make new memories.
There is no central place on the lake at this point. As I said, there's this store, there was the store across the street. This was always sort of a hub, and now there isn't really a central place. There's no place to really get together, meet your neighbors, talk to them.
In Dedham, Devin Dagnall, ABC7 and Fox 22 News.
Water trampoline?
Yeah. You're going to have to rent one of the camps. They're going to be open until October, September.
Okay.
Because they're almost year-round now,
right.
Luckily, after all the renovations they've been doing.
Yep.
But yeah, it's a great spot to check out. They got some open spaces in their calendar, so check it out.
I know. I think a lot of folks really love that area.
I was one of those when I was younger. That's where everybody from this area went. If you were a young person and you go and hang out on the beach at Jenkins, that's where you went for the day.
Nice to see those old photos too in the story. Yeah.
She took it over from her dad.
Yes.
And I think they're hoping to get it open to the general public again next year.
That's what the plan is.
But there's been a lot of renovations underway. So
yeah. Yep.
All right. Thanks,
cool.
Devin.
Thanks,
Thank you.
All right. Right after the break, Tyler Cruz will have our sports updates.
Don't go away.
Welcome to the Purple Baboon, a local gem on the Belfast waterfront. Find lots of little joys for every taste, like fun clothing for the whole family and a lovely selection of coastal Maine-made jewelry. The Purple Baboon, the best selection at great prices. 31 Front Street, Belfast.
I got hurt by a big truck. Why did I call the twos? Because life-changing injuries deserve life-changing money, and I'll fight to get it for you. We got a client who broke multiple bones in a commercial vehicle accident, $700,000. Another client had a brain injury, and we got them $1.15 million. If you get hurt by a big truck, call the twos. We win for you.
Hurt by a big truck? Call the twos. We win for you.
Now's the time to get a great deal on select Kubota equipment. As the #1 selling compact tractor in the U.S., they offer the versatility and reliability to get the job done right all year round. Right now, bring home select Kubota equipment for 0 down, 0% APR for up to 84 months, plus save up to $1,300.
Available at Doors Equipment, 1468 Outer Hammond Street, Bangor.
When R&K Variety in Hamden wants to know the local forecast, they log on to foxbangor.com. R&K Variety is more than just a convenience store, offering fresh cooked meals that don't break the bank, gasoline for your mean machines, or beer and wine so your night is fine. Stop by today.
Hi, Eastern Maine. Watch Person, Place, or Thing right here on ABC 7, weekdays starting at 10 a.m.
It has been a long and eventful offseason for the New England Patriots, but football is finally back at Gillette Stadium. Welcome back in, everyone. The Patriots kicking off the 2024 preseason schedule against the Carolina Panthers on Thursday night. It is a new era of Patriots football. Drake May, the rookie quarterback, Gerard Mayo, the rookie head coach. First offensive play for the Patriots, and it's a good one. Jacoby Brissett handoff to Ramondre Stevenson. He breaks it off for a big gain and a first down The drive would stall, though, and then it would be Drake May time. 3rd and 12 is his first pass attempt. Dumps off a screen to newcomer Antonio Gibson, and he scampers for the first down. Only one drive for May, 2 completions on 3 attempts. Next quarter, Bailey Zappi hits Kayshawn Booty for a deep gain on 3rd down. That puts the Patriots into the red zone, and that sets up this. Running back Kevin Harris gets in for the first score of the game. Pats would add another touchdown, too. This one in the 4th quarter from Bazooka Joe Milton. He finds Jaquay Jackson for a 36-yard score. That would seal it. The Patriots, they go on to win 17-3.
And as far as the offense on a limited amount of plays, it was mainly about communication and obviously getting plays from AVP, getting into the huddle, get to the line of scrimmage, snap, get the ball, so yeah, I thought that went well.
Thought it went well as well. To some baseball now. The Portland Little League All-Star team's magical postseason run, unfortunately, coming to an end on Thursday down at the New England Regionals. Portland facing Salem, New Hampshire, with a trip to Williamsport on the line. Portland starter David King with a strong start. Gets the beautiful punch out here in the first, a backwards K. Top 3 we go now. Salem with a runner at 3rd. The bunt gets fielded cleanly by King. He got the out at first, but Zach Bolduc takes off for home. He scores the game's first run, 1-0 New Hampshire. Still in the 3rd now, New Hampshire looking to keep the inning alive. The base hit to center. Kevin McDonough is going to try for 3rd. Look at Joey Salvaggio's missile of a throw. Gets him just in time to end the threat, send him back to the dugout. Great tag at 3rd, too. All right, moving on. More great defense from Portland. This is Joey Salvaggio again with an unbelievable catch in center. That saved a run at least, maybe more. Bottom of the 6th now. Maine down 2-0. Colton Johnson, he gets the final out, pitching a complete game shutout, leading Salem to a 2-0 win and a trip to the Little League World Series in Williamsport. All right, let's stay with the baseball diamond now. On Friday, the Junior Legion Northeast Regional Championship will begin right here in Bangor. Maine will have 2 representatives in the tournament, the state runners-up from Old Town Orono and the recently crowned state champs, the Trenton Acadians. OTO plays at 10 a.m. with Trenton's first pitch at 1 p.m., barring any weather. This is the Acadians' first trip to the regional at the Junior Legion level, and this team is excited for the challenge that it brings.
I just think it's fun playing teams you've never seen before. I think not making mistakes will be the biggest part, and to try to make the other team make mistakes.
It benefits us that we haven't seen these guys before, so we encountered a couple teams this year that it just became a mental game. You know, they may have beat us once or twice, and we kind of sunk back into that and let it affect us, but going into this game, not knowing anybody, it's just we can go out there and play ball.
Junior Legion is for players 17 and under. However, this Trenton team didn't have to worry much about the age limit. They have several players who haven't even stepped foot in a high school yet, play big roles in the road to the championship. They're looking to build on that momentum moving forward.
I felt really good being able to be so young and then playing on such a high-level team. It felt really nice and good experience for me.
It's just cool to do that. We have, like you said, we have a ton of young players, including me, and it's just really fun to do that.
It's been fun playing with older kids. I like it a lot. A lot of my friends play on this team. I've known them for so long now, just about all my life.
This was the group that I was really, really excited for, was because we're going to have such a core young group of players that we're going to be able to take for a couple years.
All right, staying on the diamond now, the Red Sox off on Thursday, heading back to Boston after a pretty successful road trip. The Sox have won 5 of their last 7 games since the trade deadline on July 30th. They have the best offense in the league since the deadline as well. They recently took 2 of 3 from the Royals, helping them in the battle for the 3rd wild card spot. And after the game on Wednesday, Alex Cora was asked what he learned about the team on the road trip, and it was all about the bats.
That we can hit, you know, we hit the ball out of the ballpark. We were probably 1 pitch away from getting him out. We played well. You win 2 series on the road. Now you go home, and we got to take care of business.
That they do. That is all the time we have for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
Whoa, is this your new Nissan Rogue?
Yeah, crazy story. Yesterday, I was at the Nissan end of summer sales event taking a test drive, and Laura says,
"These Rogues are going fast."
I knew I had to have that Rogue. Get a low $279 per month lease on Rogue.
If you've been injured and think you can't afford a lawyer, think again.
You can hire Lowry & Associates, and there's no fee unless they win your case. Just call the twos.
We don't get paid unless you get paid. We call it the Lowry Guarantee.
They win or it's free. That's the Lowry Guarantee. Lowry & Associates settled my case for $400,000.
Call the twos. We win for you.
If you're hurt in an accident, what do you do? Call 222-2222.
Your favorite restaurants were half off. It's half off dining from Fox 22 and ABC 7. Go to foxbangor.com, click on half off dining, and start saving now.
Noah's Ark Food and Ice Cream is located 5 miles off exit 244 in Medway. We offer homemade pizza, mouth-watering cheeseburgers, lobster rolls, and scallops. Noah's Ark Food and Ice Cream. Stop by for a delicious bite to eat and dessert too.
Great restaurants from all over Eastern Maine at half off dining from Fox 22 and ABC 7.
Whoa, is this your new Nissan Rogue?
Yeah, crazy story. Yesterday, I was at the Nissan end of summer sales event taking a test drive, and Laura says,
"These Rogues are going fast."
I knew I had to have that Rogue.
Get a low $279 per month lease on Rogue.
Breaking news to share with you at this hour. Apparently a big tractor trailer that was hauling parts of a windmill for windmill construction has overturned on Route 1 in Stockton Springs. That roadway is now closed right now. Emergency crews are on the scene, and they've set up some detours around the area, so it could cause some problems for morning drivers heading up through there. And of course, those things are massive, so it could take a while to remove too. We do have a crew on the way to the scene, and as soon as we know more, we'll tell you more about that windmill that has overturned on Route 1 in Stockton Springs. Meanwhile, the town of Skowhegan is drawing crowds as their 206th State Fair opens up for the season.
The Skowhegan State Fair kicked off on Thursday, and with rides, food, games, and much more planned for the week, the fair offers something for all with a focus on aspects of agriculture and livestock.
Without the agricultural aspect of, we wouldn't be a state fair. So we have several acres of just agricultural livestock. A lot of people come just to see that.
The fair runs until August 17th. For more information and coverage, visit our website, foxbangor.com. I love a fair.
I do too. That's a great one too, because they really do have an emphasis on the agricultural part.
Yeah.
So you can go see all the critters.
Yep. I went to the Bangor State Fair last week and I did bumper cars and I had fun like a kid.
That's fun.
Yeah,
you got to do that.
Mhm.
So, hey, a rainy day today. What can you say?
I know, not a good fair day.
No.
Unfortunately. Here's Devin Biggs with that forecast.
All right, thank you very much. Happy Friday. Here's what we got here. Some reductions in visibility, some areas of dense fog greeting us this morning. That's not the main concern. We are watching for rain that is also moving in. Before we get there, we also have a small craft advisory that is posted until 8 a.m. Sunday along the coast because of active surf that will be expected as Debbie starts to move in our direction. And of course, we'll be watching for some gusty winds too, and that advisory may also get expanded. Here's the latest radar. We are watching showers that are moving in this morning. Not much lightning, if any lightning just yet, but we will have more of that developing from the southwest to the north and east today as we get more of that peak daytime heating going. Here's the bigger picture here. Here's what's left of Debbie right here, kind of tracking from the south going toward the north with showers and thunderstorms developing for a good part of the northeastern U.S. And we'll keep this going on and off throughout the daytime period today. We will get some dry hours from time to time too. And of course, the bigger picture, the rest of the country though, still some scattered showers and storms in some spots, but for the most part, the big story right now is Debbie that is currently moving along the east coast. So futurecast moving forward, we have showers and storms moving through today, some breaks during the afternoon period. More opportunities for showers and storms moving later on tonight into parts of tomorrow morning. Locally heavy downpours cannot be ruled out even through parts of Saturday morning. We'll start to clear things up for the afternoon Saturday, but still a storm or two cannot be ruled out for the afternoon hours as well. But once we get towards parts of Saturday night, that's when things really begin to calm down. And Sunday looking a lot better. But meanwhile, as for the rainfall for today, at least maybe up to a half inch to 3/4 of an inch of rain, depending on where you're at before we're all finished up for today. But really though, as we head towards parts of Saturday, here's what we're watching out for, a little bit more rain on the way. So before this all wraps up, another 3/4 of an inch to maybe over an inch of rainfall possible before we're all finished up. Now, gusty winds will also be on the way for us today. Not so much today, but tonight for sure. Maybe a quick gust up to 10 to 15 miles per hour today. Tonight, gusts up to 30 miles per hour are possible, and getting close to 40 40-mile-per-hour gusts as we head towards the Saturday, so make sure you're ready for that. Your forecast coming up for today, it will also be a little bit humid at times with highs in the low 70s, scattered showers and thunderstorms with a southeast wind getting up to around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, more showers and thunderstorms, still a little humid out there with lows in the upper 60s and a south wind gusting up to around 30 miles per hour at times. Humid again for tomorrow, some scattered showers and thunderstorms, highs in the mid 80s and that south wind getting up to around 30 miles per hour at times. Let's check out your extended forecast. We have showers and thunderstorms today, tonight, and also in the parts of tomorrow. But notice what happens Sunday. We calm down. We'll be partly cloudy with highs in the upper 70s. More showers and thunderstorms possible Monday, otherwise partly cloudy with highs in the mid 70s and lower 80s for your Tuesday under a partly cloudy sky.
New car, new house, new motorcycle. Come on down, Howard Insurance.
Howard Insurance Agency has the privilege of 150 years in the business and represents several companies for your insurance. With local offices in Dover, Foxcroft, Dexter, and Newport, we are happy to help with your home, auto, commercial insurance, and more. Call us today for a free quote and see how much we can save you, or go to our website.
I was injured in a motorcycle accident and called Joe Bornstein's office for a free case evaluation. These guys are really good. They work hard and they really do fight for you. I was able to recover from my injuries while they took care of all the important details, and there were a lot of them. I highly recommend the law offices of Joe Bornstein to anyone injured in a motorcycle accident. For those who ride, keep Joe by your side.
Call Joe today for a free case evaluation. There's never a fee unless you win.
Backed by popular demand, the Lucerne Inn in Dedham presents its amazing Sunday brunch. Join us every Sunday from 9 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. for a culinary experience like no other. Indulge in an exquisite selection of dishes, all while enjoying breathtaking views. Seating is limited, so reservations are recommended, but walk-ins are always welcome. The Lucerne Inn Sunday Brunch, where great food meets a spectacular view. Call today to reserve your spot. There is a store that is all about toys, where you will find that special and unique toy at Out on a Whimsy, Maine's largest toy store. A magical toy wonderland filled with fun and imagination for every child. Now with 3 locations, Belfast, Bangor, and Blue Hill.
Hello there, my name is Jim Henson, and I'm a puppeteer.
If Jim was here, I just have to thank him.
Totally caught barefooted. A teacher getting ready for the new year at California's Peak to Peak Mountain Charter School Tuesday got the shock of a lifetime when she found a bear inside of her classroom. It tried to get its paws on Salmon. That's the teacher's name, Elaine Salmon. But she slammed the door and called her husband for help, who devised a plan to draw the bear out to another door. He or she didn't make a very good impression.
Oh, that's bad.
Before the animal left for the mountains, it stuffed its face with snacks that Ms. Salmon kept in an emergency earthquake kit. Wow, that's her story to her students for a lifetime.
That's great. And she's got the video to back it up,
Where?
too.
Who is taking that video?
I
Is
don't
that
know.
like through the classroom door?
I don't know. It looked like the bear was walking right by the person, too. So.
That's crazy.
Mm.
All right, looks like we're about out of time. We'll continue broadcasting on Fox 22.
Have a great day, everyone.
I was the parent who would not accept help.
Typically, if someone says, "Do you need anything?" I'm like, "No, it's fine." And it's like a dumpster fire in the background. You're like, "I got this."
I'm very stubborn, and I'll like figure out how to do it on my own, but it might take me forever.
It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to have the bumps in the road. That's human.
And normalizing reaching out or receiving help is so important for all members of the family.
Roto-Rooter has served the greater Bangor area and beyond for 35 years, offering plumbing, hydrojetting, snaking, descaling, video inspection, and grease interceptor cleaning services. For all your residential and commercial clogs, call Roto-Rooter today, 990-1234.
And away go troubles down the drain. Roto-Rooter.
Maine's largest network of parts just got a little bigger. Coastal Auto Parts, newest location in Bangor, has all your automotive needs to get you to the moments that matter most. Whether you're a professional mechanic or just need a little help, find everything you need all under one roof. Our knowledgeable staff is here to assist you with friendly service and expert advice right here at 200 Sylvan Road, just off I-95. Drive in, stock up, and hit the road with confidence. Coastal Auto Parts is owned and operated by a Maine family that cares.
When it comes to the whole home heat pump rebates from Efficiency Maine, there's money on the table for everyone, and the experts at Valley Home Services are here to help you get your share. Even if you received a rebate in the past, you can still take advantage of this program with a new Fujitsu heat pump for your whole house. And no matter your income, there's a rebate for you. Let the folks at Valley Home Services lay out a Fujitsu heat pump plan for you so you can start saving on heating and cooling for your home. Don't leave money on the table. Call Valley Home Services today and get your rebate instantly.
You're watching ABC 7 Bangor.
Good morning, America. Triple threat. Millions of people being made.
Today on Good Morning Maine, witnesses are saying they heard an explosion in Bangor as a residential building caught fire.
Plus, you can now request an absentee ballot for the 2024 election.
And we'll have an exclusive interview with Speaker of the House Mike Johnson as he sets up a battle station here in Maine to try and get Republicans elected up and down the ballot. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Maine. I'm Emma Smith.
And I'm Craig Colson. Thank you for joining us. We'll have all the day's news coming up. But first, a check of the forecast. Just a dreary day ahead of us. It's already pouring rain outside of our studios here in Bangor. And it looks like that's what we'll see, at least for the next 24 hours or so, before the storm finally starts wrapping up tomorrow afternoon.
I know. It'll get kind of crazy on the coast,
too,
is what I've heard. All right, let's get a look at that forecast with meteorologist Evan Biggs.